It's great to celebrate the anniversary with you, Rich, every year. I think we started it at 40.
Yeah,
So let's just
it's
keep it
been
going another 7. But book me for February the 22nd, 2030, and we can really exult and look back at something that, it's people have texted me today and said, it just doesn't get old. So I write back. I said, yeah, the only thing that gets old is me. But I mean, it's hard to believe that was 43 years ago. But I listen to that and I feel I'm in the third person. And of course, I've heard it thousands of times. But it's like I kind of feel the way a lot of people do when they hear that. But it's like somebody else is doing it.
Mm-hmm.
So what a moment! Obviously, in Sports Illustrated, in 2000, ranked it as the greatest sports moment of the 20th century. So. A number of years after that, we're still. I think it's still, for me, obviously number one. As you know, it's on the top of the shelf. And people say to me, "Well, what's the crowning moment of your career and everything?" And I go, "Nothing will ever top that." Just the confluence of events.
No doubt, and obviously, we all know what else you've called. And one of the many things I love about you, Al, is you just remember so much and so many details as if it was yesterday. So we're talking at 1:23 Eastern time. We're talking at 1:23 Lake Placid time. What were you doing 43 years ago at this very moment, if you can guesstimate?
Like
Al.
1:30, close to 1:30 in the afternoon. So the game started at 5 o'clock.
Mm-hmm.
So people forget that it was, tape delayed. We came on the air and it was at 5 o'clock. We were taping the game, and then they aired it at 8 Eastern time. Of course, the world was so different then, and people could keep from finding out what had taken place. But I think at about this time, 43 years ago, Rich, I walked over to the arena because we were at a hotel, the Hilton, which was maybe 4 or 5 blocks away in Lake Placid, with Ken Dryden, the great Hall of Fame goalie who was my partner on that telecast. And I remember one of the things we talked about, or at least I said to Ken, was hopefully it's only like 3-1 in the middle of the second period, Soviets. And we could keep an audience, because my big fear, of course, was that it was going to be something like 6-0, and then nobody would care about it. But I do remember having that conversation with Ken on the way over to the arena. So, at the end of the first period, Mark Johnson had scored that goal right at the horn to tie it 2-2. At the end of the second period, it was 3-2. Jim Craig, of course, made save after save in the second period to keep the game close. And we know the rest. Mark Johnson scores the tying goal, and Mike Eruzione scores what turned out to be the game-winning goal exactly 10 minutes into the third period. But that was the conversation that Kenny and I had on the way over.
And again, Al, as you point out, different times, tape-delayed broadcast, kids, college kids going up against the Soviets, just another word that dates it. But what about that barn, right? I mean, you don't get games of this magnitude played in a barn like the one in Lake Placid. What was it like in that building when you walked in there?
Well, you don't get the Olympics in places like Lake Placid anymore. So Lake Placid had hosted the Olympics in 1932, and they won the rights to host it in 1980. I don't think you'll ever see an Olympics in a venue like that. I mean, it's a little hamlet, and you could barely, get in or out. I mean, the access on roads was not like it is today for any venue that would host an Olympic Games. But right across the street was the high school in Lake Placid, and the track was turned into a rink, and that's where Eric Heiden, they turned it into a skating rink and speed skating, and Eric won 5 gold medals across the street. So then this was nothing but a field house, and I guess they've really cleaned it up. And I know a lot of games are played there, youth hockey and minor league hockey and the rest. But they've cleaned it up. But then it was simply like a 7,000 or 8,000 seat arena, which had lower bowl seating and a small balcony. And our broadcast booth was on a kind of a ramshackle platform in the front of that balcony, shaking like crazy at the end of that game. But you'll never see anything like that again right now, because obviously to host the Olympic Games, you're going to have to spend billions and billions of dollars to either upgrade your facilities or build new ones. But that was the last of its breed. The other thing I'm thinking about today, Rich, is that here we were, part of what made that what it was, the Cold War was so icy at that point. The United States and the Soviet Union, and here we are 43 years later. Think about this. Still at loggerheads with Russia, at least with Putin anyway.
When did you first hear your call of "Do you believe in miracles?" Yes, became the root of the phrase that refers to the game forevermore as "Miracle on Ice"? When did you first hear, hey, they're calling it the Miracle on Ice, and you were the one who first put the word miracle into our consciousness? Al.
Well, I've told the story before, but because this game was on tape delay, and in those years you're worried about a tape machine breaking.
Oh, God.
As crazy as that seems, that Rune Arledge, who ran ABC Sports, made Dryden and me stay at the arena to announce the Sweden-Finland game, which started at 8 o'clock. So we're doing this into a tape machine, just in case there's a technical problem, playing the tape back of the U.S.-Soviet game. I mean, it sounds crazy right now. So I had no idea what was going on until I got back to the hotel and people started saying to me, wow, that was a great thing you said at the end of the game. Rich, I had to think about it because I was too busy doing the Sweden-Finland game, doing a second game, and I really didn't have time to digest what took place. So, fortunately, through the years, it kind of plays because I don't know if I screwed that baby up. You got to live with that forever. But that was again one of those things, and we've talked about this before. People, said, "Did you think about it?" Did I think about it? I thought we were going to lose the game 10-3, and that was straight out of my heart and my fiber. And as I said to somebody at one time, I said, that's the 9-year-old in me coming out. That's the same thing that a fan would say at that point. So here we are 43 years later, still talking about this thing.
I love you, Al Michaels. Thanks for taking the time, man. You're the best.
Rich. You know that, man.
You're the
Take
best.
Care, man.
Take care. We'll see you.
Be good.
That's Al Michaels, everybody, right here. Catch the Rich Eisen Show every single day on the Roku channel, 12 to 3 Eastern, for free.